This is a good herbal tea for pregnant women, you know?
The change in my mother-in-law's attitude came after I got pregnant. Before that, she seemed to look down on me for only having a high school diploma and working an office job. But now, she's always brings me herbal tea. At first, I thought she was just happy about the pregnancy. But this herbal tea, it's a bit weird. I'm Natalie, at a food manufacturing company since I graduated from high school. I've been working in an administrative position. The reason that I chose to work at a food manufacturing company was simply because I love to eat. It's a small company, and I've stayed because it's a comfortable place to work, and still worked there because without reason. I met my husband, Chris, at the gym. I love to eat, but being in a sedentary office job made me worry about gaining weight. I'm not into sports, so I made it a point to regularly go to the gym. Chris felt the same. His research job led to a lack of exercise, but since he's not into sports either, he said he goes to the gym. Chris and I started talking after seeing each other several times, bonding over our favorite artists, going to concerts and festivals together. We naturally started dating. Then, 2 years ago, we got married. A girl with only a high school diploma and an office job could marry a researcher from a major company who graduated from a prestigious university. I never imagined. And to top it off, his father is a CEO, a real blue blood. Of course, that wasn't why I married him. We shared common interests, and I trusted Chris. That was the reason. He's a kind man, helps with household chores, and our newlywed life was filled with happiness. And now there's a baby in my belly. If I say this, sounds like everything has gone smoothly. It might seem, but there was actually one problem. It's about Chris's mother. My mother-in-law is a herb researcher. Chris's family home, run by his father's company, is so large it might seem too much for a family of 3. Using the extensive grounds, my mother-in-law grows herbs. She's converted a separate house into a shop and even holds herb classes there. She is quite well known, having published books. Chris, due to his strict mother, kept our concert and festival outings a secret from her. It's certain that she would not let us go, he said. So we couldn't tell her how we started dating, dodging the question whenever it came up. Apparently, she had ideals for her son's wife. When Chris brought me home, she must have been disappointed. She doesn't like that I'm a high school grad working in an office job. Chris has always hinted at wanting to take over his father's company one day, making it clear through her comments that I wasn't good enough for his son. She always told me something sarcastic, especially since Chris is an only child. It seems I'm not seen as suitable to be the wife of the eldest son. Yet, Chris himself never acts superior about it. He's down to earth and fun. From the time we went to announce our marriage, I knew that my mother-in-law didn't think that she didn't have good image of me. But then, when she found out I was pregnant, my mother-in-law's attitude completely changed. I had severe morning sickness, sometimes missing work, and that's exactly when my mother-in-law would show up. She never used to come to our apartment, but as soon as we announced the pregnancy, she started visiting us often. And every time, she'd bring herbal tea she harvested and sold herself.
Please drink this. It's good for pregnant women, you know?
Giving it to me so kindly, I couldn't refuse. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But then, to make matters more complicated,
Since I'm here, let's have some together. I'll show you how to brew herbal tea deliciously.
and she'd make herself at home, quickly starting to prepare the tea,
You don't have very good dishes, do you?
saying unnecessary things while boiling water and brewing the herbal tea. Mother-in-law, I appreciate it, but I have morning sickness, and I can't really drink anything with a strong scent.
Oh, this is recommended for pregnant women. It's fine. It's just herbal tea. Just try a little. It'll make you feel better.
Okay. I forced myself being sick. Drink the sweet, soothing scented herbal tea. I could tell my stomach wasn't accepting it, but I couldn't say that to my mother-in-law.
How is it? Good, right?
Yes, it's fine.
Next time, I'll bring you some herbal tea that's good for morning sickness.
Oh, no, that's okay. But unable to refuse, she'd come again soon and start making herbal tea in my kitchen as if it were her own. If she noticed the last batch of tea leaves still there,
Oh, you still have this much left. I chose these thinking of your health. You have to drink it all.
that's what she'd say. Sorry. Why do I have to apologize? Marilyn's drastic change in behavior was creepy, and getting herbal tea from her so often, I ended up complaining to Chris. Your mom brought more herbal tea today. She came over and brewed it herself again, even though I told her I couldn't drink it because of the nausea.
I see. Sorry about that.
You don't need to apologize.
Well, it's her first grandchild. She's probably just excited and looking forward to it.
Do you think so? Has she finally accepted me? I hoped that was the truth, but there was actually a terrifying truth. It happened when my classmate, Mackenzie, came to visit. Mackenzie was my best friend since middle school, and I could tell her anything. She had given birth about 3 months before I found out I was pregnant, so now she had more experience as a mom than me. Being pregnant brought both joy and anxiety, and I would talk to Mackenzie about it. Despite being busy with her baby, she always, I get it, and had time to listen and say. So, when Mackenzie came over with her baby, my mother-in-law gave me into cups to offer. I poured some of the herbal tea. I couldn't finish it on my own, and I was worried about what my mother-in-law might say if I left it. It made me anxious, so I just thought it'd be nice to share it. But as soon as Mackenzie took a sip from her cup, she said,
Isn't this a bit strong?
Oh, really? I brewed it just like my mother-in-law taught me.
It's too strong. Drinking this would make anyone choke. What kind of herb is it?
I don't know. My mother-in-law gave it to me, saying it's good for pregnant women. The bag of herbs Marilyn brought had the name of the herb on it, but since I was never interested in herbs, I didn't remember the name of the herbs.
Your mother-in-law is a herb researcher, right? If it's good for pregnant women, maybe it's safe during breastfeeding too?
Are there herbs you shouldn't drink while breastfeeding?
Yes. There are various herbs you should avoid during pregnancy. For example,
As Mackenzie listed the names of the herbs, I was completely lost. You know a lot about herbs, Mackenzie.
I've always liked tea and herbal teas. So I researched which ones are safe to drink during pregnancy and breastfeeding.
What happens if you drink herbal tea you're not supposed to?
It could cause contractions or diarrhea, the baby in your belly, and that could affect.
Contractions. Like, it makes your belly hard.
I'm not sure, but probably.
I've been having a lot of that lately.
What?
I thought since it's herbal tea for pregnant women, it wouldn't be related.
Wait, Natalie. Show me the herbal tea package.
Oh, okay. I took the bag of herbal tea from the cupboard and handed it to Mackenzie.
It looks like a blend of several herbs. All names I don't recognize.
So, it's probably not related then.
No, if you're not sure it's not causing it, you should stop. Really?
Really?
You should stop drinking the herbal tea, and you better go to the hospital. Pregnancy can bring a lot of troubles. If something feels even slightly off, it's better to get it checked out for peace of mind.
Do you think so?
Besides, if you're drinking herbal tea this strong, even if it's herbal tea which you can drink during pregnancy, you can say for sure it won't affect you, right?
What? Really?
Things haven't been going well with your mother-in-law, right?
Well, yeah. Until I found out I was pregnant. It felt like she didn't like me.
It's probably best to check, just to be safe.
Encouraged by Mackenzie's words, I decided to get the herbal tea checked out at the hospital. I brought the doctor upon seeing the herbal tea package.
This herb is actually contraindicated during pregnancy.
Casually said, What? I was under the impression that my mother-in-law had accepted me. How naive I was. Saying it was good for pregnant women. What was she thinking giving me this tea? Giving me tea that shouldn't be consumed during pregnancy could mean there's a risk to the baby, right? That means.
How did you get this herbal tea?
I received it as a gift.
It's best not to drink it, just to be safe. The person who gave it to you probably didn't know. Maybe that person gave you this not knowing anything about the pregnancy.
Oh no, actually. The giver is a herb researcher. It's hard to believe she wouldn't know about the herbs she's handling. It must have been on purpose. I felt all the strength leave my body. Fortunately, the baby is doing well, and if I felt any abdominal tightening, I was only advised to rest, and then I went back to home. The herbal tea Marilyn brought was not good for pregnant women. She might have given it to me on purpose. Maybe she gave it to me knowing that it wasn't good for the pregnancy. When I told Chris about it after coming home,
That can't be possible.
at first, he said that, but then
But knowing her, she might actually do something like that.
said a word. Why? The baby is your mom's grandchild, isn't it? Is she okay with something happening to her grandchild?
What if she doesn't want the grandchild?
What?
I mean, it's hard to say this, Natalie, but actually, as my wife to marry, my mom had someone else in mind for me to marry. She's one of her herbal class students.
Does she still want that woman to marry with you?
Even after marrying you, she's told me to leave you multiple times.
She wants me to give up on Chris?
If the child turns out to be a problem, she probably thinks you'll give up.
How forceful.
Anyway, let's meet her and ask everything about this to her.
You think she'll tell us everything?
I have a plan.
After constantly receiving snide remarks since our marriage, I had been keeping my distance from my in-laws. I wasn't looking forward to visit my mother-in-law, but I trusted Chris and decided to go with him. On Saturday afternoon, we visited my in-laws for the first time in a while, without telling them that we were going to visit them. My father-in-law, surprised by our visit at the door, greeted us and quickly welcomed us.
Oh, good to see you. Come and make yourselves at home.
And my mother-in-law, it turned out she was in the middle of her herbal class. Mother-in-law is in class, huh? When will it be over?
We are not going to wait until the class is over. We'll go to her.
What? It seemed that Chris had timed our visit to catch her during her class. We crossed the connecting corridor from the main house to the detached herb shop. The property also had a dedicated herb garden. In front of the shop's entrance, there were many potted herbs placed. Opening the glass door, we could hear pleasant laughter of women, surrounded by shelves of dried herbs and glass jars. Above the long table in the center, the students were brewing herbal tea. Nobody noticed that we came in. They continued their work chatting and laughing.
Ma'am, is it all right now?
One of the students asked my mother-in-law.
This time, we're using dried flowers and leaves. Now, let's pour it into the cups. So once the sand in the hourglass has fallen, it's ready. Now, let's pour it into the cups.
The herbal tea in the heat-resistant glass teapot was much lighter in color than what I had been taught. From behind the students, I spoke up. Ma'am, is that hourglass a 3-minute timer?
Yes, it is.
And after speaking, my mother noticed that the question was not from the students. Turning to look at me, she was taken aback.
Why are you two here? It's class time. I can't have you just walking in.
I responded with a smile. The herbal tea you gave me was so delicious. It sparked my interest in herbs. Could we perhaps take a look at the class?
What are you talking about? Someone like you doesn't fit in with herbs.
But you gave me herbal tea. That's strange. When you taught me, you used much more leaves and said to steep it for 10 minutes.
That's because it's a different type of herb.
At that moment, one of the female students spoke up.
Did you say mother-in-law?
Yes, I'm her daughter-in-law. Then my mother-in-law, in a panic, tried to cut me off and said,
What are you talking about? No, this girl is a relative. She was thinking of me as a mother.
but the woman, ignoring my mother-in-law, looked at me and said,
Daughter-in-law means?
I'm married into this family. The woman who asked me turned pale, and I could see my mother-in-law turning blue as well. I said it clearly, and I noticed that my Mill's face was turning pale.
Wife? I had no idea Chris was married. I don't know what's going on. What is this all about?
No, that come.
I had never seen my mother-in-law so flustered.
Ma'am, you said you would arrange for me to marry Chris. You told me that I would be the next CEO's wife. Was that a lie, what you told me?
No, Holly, there's a misunderstanding. Chris was deceived into marrying this woman, but I intended to break them up soon. But then this woman is so stubborn. She got pregnant, and it messed up all my plans.
My mother-in-law rattled off her words rapidly. Everything Chris had told me was true. There was someone she wanted Chris to marry, not just failing to accept me as her daughter-in-law, but actually intending to drive me out. But in reality, more than me, the woman standing in front of me seemed more suitable for this family. She wasn't just beautiful, was well-dressed, and seemed well-educated and cultured. I'm plain-looking and not very smart, raised in a very average salaried worker's family. Indeed, maybe I'm not the right match for Chris. I was feeling quite down when Chris spoke up.
Hold on, Mom. What are you saying? I have no intention of leaving Natalie, not even a little bit. I chose Natalie, not for my education or title. She saw me for who I am. That's what I value in a person.
Tears nearly came to my eyes hearing Chris's words. He continued.
Mom, you plan to make me marry with Holly. That's why you endangered our baby.
What? Chris, what are you saying?
You thought if something happened to our baby, I'd give up on Natalie. How could you do something so terrible?
At Chris's words, the students in the class began to murmur. Then, my mother-in-law defiantly.
Of course, I've been saying it all along. Someone with education deserves a lady from a good family. Someone who's fitting to be the wife of a future CEO. Holly would be perfect. If only you had separated sooner, I wouldn't have had to do anything. Such a trivial woman. It's Chris's fault for clinging to.
Don't call my wife trivial. Going out to eat, going to concerts. She's an amazing wife. We have the best time together.
Oh, concerts. How vulgar. I did not raise you to be with such a person.
That's right. Mom, elevate your own status and fame. You've always done anything to leaving me neglected. I was deeply into music. You never knew.
That was because I needed money to raise you.
We could have lived comfortably on Dad's earnings alone. You just wanted to become famous as herb researcher. Holly, if I weren't going to be the CEO, you wouldn't be interested in marrying me, right?
What?
What?
Both the mother-in-law and Holly exclaimed at the same time.
I have no intention of taking over Dad's company.
What? What are you saying? I raised you to be the CEO. You ingrate.
My mother-in-law, incensed, turned on Chris and then came at me.
You seduced Chris. Get out. I should have never let you marry Chris.
Please stop it. The baby. I was violently shaken and instinctively protected my stomach.
You don't deserve to bear Chris's child. Get out now.
As I recoiled from the demonic expression on my mother-in-law's face, suddenly a voice intervened.
The one leaving is you, Marilyn.
The father-in-law had come in upon hearing the commotion.
I knew Chris wasn't going to take over the company long before he married Natalie.
Why? How could you?
Chris has his own things that he wants to do. I wanted to let him do what he loves.
How could you decide that without consulting me?
You've been doing what you love, even neglecting household and parenting duties to pursue it. And yet you won't allow Chris to pursue his passion.
But this messes up all my plans.
You've reaped what you've sown.
My mother-in-law was eventually faced with a divorce by my father-in-law and had to leave the house. She begged to continue her herbal classes, and that was the only concession she received. However, after the commotion, rumors spread among her students, leading to a mass exodus from her classes. Ultimately, she couldn't continue them. Holly, too, once she realized she wouldn't become the CEO's wife, showing no further interest in Chris, left my mill. My mother-in-law now rents a cheap apartment and lives off part-time jobs. She's never had to work outside from the house, struggling with work and household tasks. As for me, I safely gave birth to a baby boy who just looks like Chris. Both Chris and my father-in-law are completely smitten with him. We decided to move out of the apartment and live with my father-in-law, who was now living alone. To ensure we all had our space, we remodeled the house into a duplex. When our family gets bigger, since we were planning to move to a bigger place, it was welcomed. Interestingly, I've genuinely developed an interest in herbs, using the ones my mother-in-law left in her garden. for cooking and baking during my childcare breaks. I even studied the correct way to brew herbal tea. When used properly, herbs can be very beneficial for both mind and body. Once things settle down with child rearing, I'm considering getting a herbology certification. While I can't condone my mother-in-law's actions, taught me a new way of living, this experience has unexpectedly